Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, I am absolutely thrilled to share a story today that completely rewrites the rulebook on wealth, power, and legacy. Get ready, because we're going to meet a historical figure whose resources were so mind-bogglingly huge, they literally redrew the map of the world and permanently altered the course of global economics. But right off the bat, let me ask you, who is the truly richest person in human history? Like, who instantly comes to mind? We usually picture those Gilded Age tycoons, right? Or massive corporate founders. But I want you to prep for a major paradigm shift here. Because the real answer, it isn't anyone from the last couple of centuries. Okay, let's dive into this. We're putting today's modern tech billionaires, the Elon Musks and Jeff Bezos of the world, the guys currently racing each other to colonize space, up against a name that is definitely not on the typical Forbes list, Mansa Musa of the Mali Empire. We are talking about the 14th century King of Kings. And honestly, when it comes to sheer, unmatched financial dominance, our modern space racing titans don't even come close. Just wrap your head around this number. Over $400 billion. That's a 4 with 11 zeros behind it. Economists today, even in 2026, still struggle to calculate his exact net worth, but adjusted for inflation, this is actually the conservative estimate. I know, a number like that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but the reality of his fortune is no joke. Mansa Musa was for sure the wealthiest human being to ever walk the earth. Section 1. The Golden Empire. So, how exactly does one person rack up that level of unimaginable wealth? Well, everything shifts into high gear in the year 1312. That's when Mansa Musa is officially crowned. And to really grasp his wealth, we have to look at the massive footprint of his domain. The Mali Empire was one of the largest in the world at the time. It stretched all across West Africa, covering what we now call modern-day Mali, Seneca, Gambia, Guinea, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, and Mauritania. This wasn't just a kingdom, it was a sprawling, continent-spanning superpower. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly where that money came from. Imagine the entire 14th century world gold supply. Now imagine that the Mali Empire controlled an unbelievable 50% of it. Yes, a staggering half of the entire world's gold supply sat directly under Musa's control. Oh, and if that wasn't enough to make him the richest man alive, his empire was also sitting on massive, highly lucrative salt reserves, which, were incredibly precious commodities back then. But here's the thing. Musa wasn't just lucky to sit on valuable dirt. He was an absolute master of economic strategy. His empire basically operated as the ultimate toll booth. He exercised complete control over the vital trans-Saharan trade routes, meaning absolutely no gold moved to Europe or the Middle East without his administration stepping in and taking a substantial cut through taxation. Talk about passive income, right? Section 2. Crashing the global economy. So in 1324, Mansa Musa, who was a devout Muslim, sets out on a pilgrimage to Mecca. But guys, calling this a pilgrimage feels like a massive understatement. It was effectively the most expensive, lavish 4,000-mile road trip in human history. He didn't just travel. He moved an entire golden city across the blazing desert. So the crucial point is the sheer, absurd logistics of this caravan. We're talking 60,000 men just for supplies and logistics alone. That entourage included 12,000 personal servants, and get this, each one of those 12,000 servants was carrying a 4-pound solid gold bar. Plus, he brought along 80 camels, with each one hauling between 50 and 300 pounds of raw gold dust. Insane. So what happens when you dump that much localized wealth into a regional economy? Well, let's walk through it. First, he rolls into Cairo with seemingly endless gold. Second, he gives incredibly generously to the poor and funds the construction of new mosques everywhere he goes. Third, and this is where history takes a hilarious but disastrous turn, his unparalleled generosity accidentally causes massive hyperinflation. He literally flooded the market with so much gold that its value just completely plummeted, which leads to step 4. He depressed regional gold prices for over a decade. He basically broke the Mediterranean economy through sheer charity. Let's move to his timeline and see how this builds. We track his coronation in 1312, that legendary economy-crashing road trip in 1324, his feature in the famous Catalan Atlas in 1375, all the way up to his modern status as a global heritage symbol in 2026. This timeline really shifts our focus from his overflowing coffers to a legacy of lasting intellectual capital. Section 3. Architect of African Excellence. After the Hajj, Musa's focus shifted dramatically. He wasn't just content being rich anymore. He realized that true, lasting empire building required vast intellectual capital. So he didn't return from Mecca loaded with exotic trade goods. He returned with brilliant minds. He brought renowned Arab scholars, leading architects, and celebrated poets right back to Timbuktu with him. His ultimate goal was to transform his bustling trade city into a premier, world-class hub of learning and culture. And to pull this off, he was willing to pay top dollar, or, well, top gold. He actually handed over a massive 200 kilograms of gold. To put that into perspective, that's roughly equivalent to $15 million today. He gave that to the great architect Abu Ishaq al-Sahili. The task? To design and build the iconic Jingureber Mosque, a stunning architectural marvel that literally still stands to this very day. But his most significant achievement was absolutely the University of Sankore. This wasn't just some local school. Its libraries housed hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Students and scholars studied a vast array of subjects, ranging from advanced astronomy to incredibly complex legal frameworks. It was this institution that truly transformed Timbuktu into a world-class center of education. Honestly, Musa's true wealth wasn't the gold in his caravan, it was the knowledge banked at Sankore. And the rest of the world definitely took notice. The Catalan Atlas, which was created in 1375, was arguably the most important map of the medieval period. And famously, right in the center of Africa, it depicted Mansa Musa sitting on a throne, wearing a golden crown, and holding a massive gold nugget. This single image cemented Mali as the real-world El Dorado. It permanently put Africa on the radar of Europe as an intellectual and immensely wealthy superpower. Section 4, the 2026 Legacy. So why exactly are we still talking about him today? Well, first and foremost, Musa's history completely shatters that harmful dark continent myth. It provides undeniable proof that West Africa was a highly sophisticated, wealthy, and intellectual pre-colonial superpower long before European arrival. His legacy serves as the ultimate undeniable symbol of pre-colonial African excellence. It reminds us of a rich, complex history that's just too often overlooked. Furthermore, his investments in knowledge are quite literally still paying dividends today. Timbuktu's surviving manuscripts, the very ones he helped gather and protect, are currently being digitized. They are now viewed as a crucial global heritage site. These digital preservation efforts are actively fueling the modern African Renaissance, drawing a direct, unbroken line from his 14th century vision straight to today's global heritage conservation. Now, what's really interesting to consider here is this final provocative question: will any of today's wealth build a library that lasts 700 years, or are we just carrying gold bars through a different desert? Mansa Musa proved that true power isn't just about how much gold you have in your coffers, but how much you are willing to spend to change the world. It really forces us to rethink the true definition of modern wealth, legacy, and philanthropy. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the big questions, and I'll catch you next time.